Senator Marshall.
Thank you, Chairman, Ranking Member. Ms. Rollins, welcome.
Thank you.
Just want to know if you agree with me that whole milk is the most nutritious drink known to humankind and belongs in our school lunches.
Senator, I don't know that you have met my mom yet, but this is all we had in our refrigerator growing up. Not anything else, just whole milk. She is absolutely never going to let us forget this, the fact that this is coming up. But yes, this hits home to me very, very quickly. It brings back a lot of memories.
So, Ms. Rollins, like many of us on this committee, you have a love, a passion for rural America, for agriculture. Tell us where that comes from and why this job is important to American agriculture and rural America, just from your heart.
Senator, thank you. The fact that I'm sitting here today, that I am in the United States Capitol, that I'm sitting in front of this committee, that I am serving at the appointment of the President of the United States as one of his potential cabinet members, but yet I grew up in a town of 1,200 with a single mom, with two little sisters, went to Texas A&M on an agriculture scholarship because my love, but also we needed the money. That Future Farmers of America is the organization that set my path so many years ago. I am fighting for the next Brooke, who is growing up in a little bitty town with a single mom, that her weekends are spent on horses and raising cattle and barrel racing and at Friday night football, at least in the South, and making sure that those communities continue to raise and provide thriving and incredible opportunities for the next generation of leaders so that this country can continue in the next 250 years to do what we've done in the last 250, and that is to create and govern under our founders' vision of the greatest country in the history of the world. And this work and this committee and this moment in time is the backbone to all of that.
Yeah, Ms. Rollins, it reminds me of a song that growing up a Kansas farm boys mostly having fun. And I think that's what you're describing. It was
That's
mostly
right.
having, it was a simpler time. You pointed out earlier, 90% of rural America supported President Trump in the election, over 90%. Now, every time I see the president, the first thing he asks me is, Roger, how are your farmers and ranchers doing in Kansas? Can you just share with this committee President Trump's compassion for farmers and ranchers? Do you have similar conversations with him as well?
Yes. Senator, one of the illuminating moments of my time with him in the last administration, and it was, as you can imagine, an adventure beyond any imagination to be next to President Trump for 3 years and then to continue to work with him after he left the White House to build the America First Policy Institute and continue the policies for the next 100 years, not just for this moment in time. But I, in the last West Wing, I believe I'm speaking correctly, was the only person with an agriculture background. And that wasn't widely known because I was managing the entire portfolio. And but any time in any senior staff meetings or any time we were in the Oval Office and these issues would come up, he would always point to me and say, where are we on that? And it was so clear to me that that is where his heart is. I'll never forget a cabinet meeting where we were having a discussion about some big corporate entity who had asked for a very large sum in the multis of billions of dollars for a project. And that same week he had been asked for that project, he'd also visited some farmers in Georgia. And I'll never forget, I was sitting behind him because I was not part of the cabinet, I was part of the senior staff. And I'll never forget, I don't think the media was in there, but he looked at the entire cabinet and then turned, over his shoulder and looked at us who were sitting behind him as his senior team. And he said, I'm not here for those guys who are asking for billions of dollars for their new project and their market value is many, many billions and billions more. I'm here for those farmers. I am here for those men and women that I met in Georgia yesterday who are hurting but never complain, never miss a beat, never stop doing what they're called to do, which is to produce for the families across America and across the world. That is who I am here, and we all, pointing to the cabinet and the staff, are here to serve. I think that was in maybe year 2 of the 4. And I've never forgotten it. And when he called me about this job, we talked about that again.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Rollins. So obviously, agriculture, rural America is important to you. It's important to the president. Would you just speak for a moment how important biofuels are to the farmers, to ranchers who benefit from some of the substrates coming out of that process, and to rural America as well, and specifically how 45Z might impact rural America?
I think that everyone knows where the president is on this, and he often jokes that there were a lot of meetings. I think a lot of you were in. Senator Grassley, I know you were in many of those in the last White House, making sure that the president fully understood the importance of exactly what you're talking about, Senator, on biofuels and especially to our farmers. I believe that in the last 48 hours, one of his executive orders on energy actually included a mention of biofuels. And also, my role, if confirmed, is to defend all of American agriculture. So I believe, Senator, that you and others who hail from these states where this is a driver for your farmers and your ranchers and your economy should feel very confident that you have a friend and a defender in this current administration to make sure this continues. 45Z, obviously, my friend Scott Bessent, if confirmed over at Treasury, will be working on that. That's in his purview, but I will ensure that he has the data and the voices and the opinions around him to make the right decision.
Yeah, just one more quick comment on the 45Z is that certainly what we don't want is China to benefit from it.
Correct.
Which is happening right now. We can go into that in more detail later as well. And by the way, I was just sitting here thinking, I remember President Trump's, the first primary back in 2016 in Iowa, I believe he came out, was the candidate that came out in favor of biofuels as well, as I recall.
That's right.
Let's finish up on the regulatory environment. Boy, I'm not sure if anything's a bigger concern to the American farmer right now than the regulatory environment. And the two hot button issues have been WOTUS, Waters of the U.S., and the Endangered Species Act. Can you tell us what your involvement was in rolling back that WOTUS regulation with the previous administration? And that, I think, is a good example going forward what will be happening.
I will, and I appreciate that so much because I do have extensive experience in many of these regulatory programs that in the last administration we worked to make roll back, but also align better for the needs of our ag communities and ensure that the Waters of the United States rule did not put more farmers out of business. Same with the Endangered Species Act. I know that that's also a big issue in our forestry lane as well. So I really encourage and look forward, and my policy heart is very happy at the opportunity to make those better, to understand the harm and follow the data on it, and really work with all of you to try to solve for that in the next 4 years.